This market is breaking red everywhere, essentially down 4-5%, down over 16%, Dow at the same time has fallen about 15%. Stock market now down 21%.
We're now down 43%.
What's happening on Wall Street?
Two-year note yields went from 190 to 166 in the blink of an eye.
On the NASDAQ, everything and more has been completely wiped out.
It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987. In 5 seconds,
So my niggas, that's my money in my pocket. Don't tell us what the job done. Y'all can fuck it, y'all. Make it a nigga drop it up.
Really, you're seeing just broad-based declines across all of the major technology sectors. Dow is under pressure. Yahoo down 8.5%, Cisco 6.5%, Research and Ocean 10%.
We're not getting the big one. We're not getting to stop trading, and we see where this wires are just down.
The height financial turmoil that we have experienced of late, and the period of economic progress, increase the risk to growth.
We've had an 8-day losing streak for the Dow that in percentage terms puts it on par, close to the loss suffered in that crash in 1987, close to that percentage loss through 2 days in 1929.
What's known in America last year as National Trend to different parts of the world.
Down 9%, status at Frankfurt is down by 5%. Market is down by 9%. Austria, briefly suspended earlier on in the day, is down by 11%.
This market is as volatile as you'll ever see.
Traders say this is the craziest day they have ever seen in these markets. That's what traders say they've never seen anything like it. The movement in oil prices so fast, trading at the New York Stock Exchange, and the stocks are set to take off lower, a whole lot lower.
eBay is down 6.5%, and really you're seeing just broad-based declines across all of the major technology sectors. Apple under pressure, Yahoo down 8.5%, Cisco 6.5%.
Make my money and make it fast and yeah, you know the biz, it's that junkyard dog around the bend. I'm ready to bang on this joint. They can't escape from the real. So 10 gauge, hit that pause, gon' tell these lames just how it is, man. Y'all busters ain't shit. I recommend you check your method when you're bucking with me. A ruthless cracker with the temper from the Tennessee. I'm about my hogs slanging breakfast on the side for the cheap. So come and cop your ass a double piece. Dropping suckers off like John Wick. That aim is true. Don't try to cross your fingers. Trigger itching G's low in my veins. I'll send your soul to Jesus. Stupid hoe that talk is cheap, but best believe it. We can run with if you want it with your arena. Come face the freezer. Nighty night. I guess that's all you wrote. Them devilish verses got you yearning for more, so I do my thing. But run up on my spot, it's a murder case. On the stand, I plead the fifth. I'm taking this plot to the fucking grave. This one's for all your bitches, the hoes. These internet gangsters off in the cut with your golds. I'm on the stand, yeah. And as I emerge, I'ma need that crown. Bow down. I paid my dues inside the village of the underground. Trick.
Fuck you, time wasters.
Looking at. I ain't your mirror, but I'm quick to serve a pimp slap.
Cultivating parasocial relationships and grifting off them. Rest in piss, bitches.
Fuck peace, you gotta reap what you sow. Cause in this life there ain't no redo, buddy. You better watch your tone. What's the problem, city boy? What you looking at? I ain't your mirror, but I'm quick to peel your cap back. This one's for all your bitches and hoes. These internet gangsters off in the cut with your golds. I'm on the stand, yeah. And as I emerge, I'ma need that crown. Bow down. I paid my dues inside the village of the underground.
That's right. Welcome to the motherfucking underground. The news underground. Big props to Hydra X Teenage. Reap What You Sow. The song we had before that. Shad Evil. Wake up. Robbery, robbery, robbery. That's what they doing to us. They robbing us. You know it. So thank you. That's the sound of the underground. Make sure you support these underground artists. Buy their merch. Buy their tapes. Why are they selling tapes? I don't know, but buy them. Get their CDs. Buy their SoundCloud albums. Support this industry. Support the sound of the underground. Exclusive on the News Underground. Because ain't nobody got the motherfucking balls to play this shit. You ain't hearing this shit on Hassan's stream. That pussy ass bitch ain't playing this shit. This ain't Taylor Swift, bitch. Just want to remind every motherfucker on Twitch, on the left, that ain't talking about direct, non-violent political action to gobble these nuts. Just a quick reminder. You out there cultivating parasocial relationships. I'm trying to get some shit done. So fuck you. Fuck you with all my heart. Yeah, good enough. Nah. You out there in this political space, you got an audience, and you're not talking about how you're going to be in there marching to Nancy Pelosi's house, to fucking Chuck Schumer's house, you know, to AOC's house, Joe Manchin's house, Kristen Sinema's house. We're not marching to the Capitol. Fuck you. Fuck you. Because if you're not talking about direct, nonviolent political action in this political space, what are you talking about? What, the right wing? What the right wing said? Who fucking cares? We know where they stand. They're against democracy. They're against liberty. They're against reproductive rights. That's all I need to hear. I don't need to discuss shit further, except where's the march? Where's the protest? That's the only thing we need to be discussing. You know, and if we're not out here discussing what the fuck we gonna do action-wise, you quit wasting my fucking time having debates with right-wingers like they're gonna change their fucking mind. Oh yeah, no, I change right-wingers' minds in this political space. You're not changing anybody's fucking mind. You're grifting, cultivating parasocial relationships. You got all that clout, all that money, all that fucking fame, and what are you doing with it? The fascists are winning. You want me to shut up? Get your ass in the streets. At the very least, encourage your audience to get their asses in the streets. Oh yeah, I'm sure you got all kinds of criticism from me, but you can shut the fuck up unless you're out in these streets, bitch. So sick of your fucking excuses as to why you can't participate in direct, nonviolent political action. They're pathetic, and they're not good enough. If you were half as good at contributing to direct, nonviolent political action as you were coming up excuses as to why you can't, this problem would be done with. All you fuckers so great at making excuses as to why you can't act. Meanwhile, fascists up front. Let's march on this, let's march on that. Donate to this, donate to that. But what the fuck are you doing while they're destroying reproductive rights? While they're shitting all over trans rights? What the fuck are you doing? Huh? Whole lot of jaw jacking's what I'm seeing. Whole lot of lip flapping. Yeah, I don't think that's working. I don't think you're changing enough right-wing minds. Having another debate about Jordan Peterson. Hassan. Time-wasting grifter. Celebrity. Not an activist. So he can get the fuck out of my way. Welcome to the News Underground, where we keep it so goddamn real. It's only a matter of time before they kick me off this shit. It's only a matter of time. Where's my doomsday counter? I got the hammer, I got the dagger of Damocles above me. All it's gonna take is just one Twitch moderator to roll on by. Oh, he said bad words. He's insulting our most popular streamer. Can't have that. Not going to sell too much Clorox bleach with that kind of attitude.
For school, but I also write
Not going to sell too much Grammarly with that attitude, are we? Yeah, I'm not market friendly. Speaking of the markets, I'm no fucking expert. Obviously. 3DMG, man. What a track. I can't even say the goddamn title. It's that 3DMG, y'all. That's right. Oh yeah, no. You think you can walk all over the left like we ain't gonna shoot back? Like you can just show up with your squeaky clean boots and your anti-BLM protests, feel threatened, pop off a few shots? I don't fucking think so. Like you're just gonna take over our democracy and not receive any pushback. Something's gotta give. Something's gotta give. Shit, man, the fascists are already eating each other. The moment they secure their control, it's gonna be a fucking bloodbath. Like you put a fucking turkey leg into a piranha tank. Oh, look, I'll put money on it. Anyone who's watching right now, you want to put money on this? $100. After 2024, when the Republicans have won the presidency, they'll start saying Alex Jones isn't right-wing enough. They'll come out and say Alex Jones is a rhino. He doesn't support Trumpism, DeSantisism. He's not right-wing enough. $100. Who wants to put that bet down? Be nice if I had someone actually watching. What can you do? This ain't the underground for no reason now. It's the underground because we're what's left. We're the bottom of the barrel. We're the bottom of the fucking barrel over here. Welcome to the underground. Now, there was a different album I wanted to play throughout the stream. I've been playing a lot of that 187, that Plankton 187 album. Let me get this other album here. Amazing, amazing album. Let's see here. This one's from... Oh, what was it now? Oh, yeah. DJ Impact. Great album. Whoops. We'll play that. We'll play this when I read articles for today's stream. Amazing article. DJ Impact, Late at Night, full tape. Yo, what up? You're next, Dad. Jeez. Now that's a spooky ass name. All right. Start off with a little bit of comedy here. A little bit of a follow-up to yesterday's Ukraine stream. I'll let this one speak for itself. So a rep, Alyssa Slotkin, she's a CIA analyst. She's got something to say on Twitter here about the Ukraine situation.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
Oh, but...
Like I told Tish, I see when I shot niggas. Like you seen him twirl, then he drop, nigga. And we keep the mind millies on my block, nigga. And Monte keep it on him, he done drop niggas. And he be wildin', he some hot nigga. Tones known to get busy with them clocks, nigga. Try to run down and...
Yeah, so, isn't it great? No one wants a war with Russia.
Like I told Tish, I see when I shot niggas. Like you seen him twirl, then he drop, nigga. And we keep the...
Yeah, anyway. Let's go ahead and trust what the CIA has to say about what's going on. Well, that's good. Yeah, I miss Mixer, man. I really miss Mixer. It had some cool features. I liked it. You know, all we got now is fucking D Live. It's the only alternate streaming platform besides YouTube. And YouTube's copyright is so fucked. As a political news oriented stream, I can't even play MLK quotes. I can't even play footage from like 20 years ago. Everything's copywritten. Everybody owns everything. You know? Can't even show shit. It's only a matter of time for that shit hits Twitch here. Oh yeah, you can't show news clips. You can't show MSNBC. Oh. Last little bit of follow-up. Once again, gotta point out the incredible censorship on Reddit. The incredible censorship on Reddit. This is an article from The Hill. Ukraine says Russian invasion is not imminent. Situation is under control. Why was this removed? Our World News. Moderators of Our World News. Is this not relevant world news? I hope this was a duplicate. I hope all the Reddit articles that I show that are, oh, so sorry, this post has been removed. It's a duplicate. I sure hope that's the excuse. Because if not, this is one of the most heavily moderated and censored websites on the fucking internet. Don't people have a right to know about this shit? This shit's world news. Nope, gotta remove it. It's gotta go. Most heavily censored fucking website on the internet, easily. So, real quick, before we get to the market crash shit, and just turn that off for a sec. Ukraine says Russian invasion is not imminent. Situation is under control. This is coming out of the Ukraine. Top Ukrainian officials are reassuring residents that a Russian invasion is not imminent and that the situation is, quote unquote, under control. Interesting. As concerns grow that Moscow is planning an incursion against the nation, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Monday said the circumstances in the region were, quote unquote, under control, asserting that there is no reason to panic, according to the AP. Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov also said that the threat of an offensive doesn't exist at the moment because Russia's armed forces have not yet established what they described as battle groups, which would have indicated that tomorrow they would launch an offensive. All right. There are risky scenarios. They're possible and probable in the future, Reznikov told Ukraine's ICTV channel, according to the AP. But as of today, such a threat doesn't exist. So it's reassuring. I don't want to see this war happen. National Security and Defense Council Secretary Oleksiy Danilov sounded a similar note, arguing that the wave of Russian troops amassed at the Ukrainian border is not news. Well, I don't know about that, homie. As of today, we don't see any grounds for statements about a full-scale offensive in our country, Danilov added on Monday, according to the AP. So this is coming right out of the Ukraine. I don't understand what the value of like lying about this. I don't, from a Ukrainian perspective, what would be the value of saying, you're the big bad country that's about to roll over you is not ready to actually roll over us. Like, I don't understand like why you would. I'm just trying to picture I'm just trying to think of the positive as to maybe why they would be lying about this, and I can't really think of one. So let me know if you do. The reassurance by Ukrainian officials comes as the U.S. and its allies are becoming increasingly worried that Russia may be preparing to launch an incursion against Ukraine. Moscow has more than 100,000 troops near the Ukrainian border, heightening tensions in the region. Russia, however, has denied having plans to invade. Come on, dog. What are they doing, huh? War games? They're literally lined up at every strategic point around the Ukraine, including Crimea. Moscow and Washington have engaged in diplomatic discussions for days, but no breakthroughs have been reached. Yeah, well, because Washington refuses to bend on a single thing. Won't even take a single fucking missile off the border. What kind of negotiation is that? Do what we say or else? Is that the only way we know how to fucking treat other, talk to other countries, treat other countries? Or else? Is that our foreign policy? Stick a gun to your fucking head? That'll get us pretty far. I'm sure that'll get us pretty far. It certainly will earn us the respect of the international community. The U.S. has said Russia's demands are non-starters, leaving the two countries stuck in what appears to be a stalemate. The Pentagon announced on Monday that it was putting 8,500 U.S. troops on heightened preparedness to deploy. Why? We're going to send troops there? American lives dying for a non-NATO ally? I don't get it. I don't get it, dude. Ain't no American gonna want to do that. Fight and die in the Ukraine? For who? Democracy? Okay. Let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. It's the most boring one. Get this one out of the way while I'm still awake. Richard Wolff interviewing Professor Richard Wolff, sorry. Interviewing Fabian Schneider. Schneidler is a German writer, wrote a book called The End of the Mega Machine, related to the market. So let's go ahead and see what this trusted economic communist has to say about things. Yeah. Richard Wolff coming at you with the big dick. Yeah. Richard Wolff coming at you with some communist shit. Yeah.
Welcome, friends,
Whoa.
to another edition of Economic Update, a weekly program devoted to the economic dimensions of our lives, jobs, debts, incomes, our own and those of our children. I'm your host, Richard Wolff. I want to begin by noting something that happened very early this year. I have my disagreements with Bernie Sanders. We've talked about those in the past. But when Bernie does something that really deserves some applause, well, then I want to provide that as well.
Well, that sounds fair.
Early
Why would
this
you be
year,
fair, Richard?
when the Republicans were trying to keep Trump above water
Down
in the
with
face
fascism.
of January 6th, and the Democrats were celebrating democracy as if this were the key issue to deal with in our times, Bernie came out with something remarkable. He gave speeches on the 5th and 6th of January, in part to striking workers across the country who were brought together electronically to hear and respond to that speech. And he gave a remarkable interview to Stephen Greenhouse that was published on January 10th in The Guardian, the British newspaper. The British newspaper. It didn't get the interview in the American newspapers, nor was there much coverage, and that's part of why I'm doing it now. The single most important remark in the speeches, and they had many important comments, but the single one that I want to suggest is the one worth focusing on. Here we go. The Democratic Party has turned its back on the working class.
Yeah,
Whoa.
exactly.
He is a Democrat, yes, he's independent.
Exactly.
But he caucuses and works with the Democratic Party, ran in the Democratic Party for president, etc. The Democratic Party has turned its back on the working class.
That's right.
He's issuing a warning, none too subtle either, as he himself recognized. He talked about all the things that need to be done that aren't being done in our democracy. We're not providing the health care. We're not providing the housing support. We're not providing the child care credits, all the things that he fought for and that were at least verbally supported by the establishment Democrats.
Oh, yeah. They flapped a lot of lips to that.
Parting of the ways, isn't he? And I want to say to him, congratulations. And maybe, if I'm not too snarky, better late than never.
Oh, I love
I
this
want
man.
to turn to updates. And one of the most important indices of anything that happens in a society is the growth or not of its population. So I want to talk a little bit, as I have been doing in other forums, about population growth. So let's begin. The statistics are in for the growth of population between July of 2020 and July of 2021, the latest full year data that I could come to. And we've had the smallest growth of our population in over a century.
That's troubling.
Wow. Something remarkable is happening. Total growth in the United States, we are a country of 330 odd million people, was 395,000 people. That's how we grew over that year. What's going on is very important, both to know and then to analyze how it came to this. Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic that has killed in our country more people than anywhere else on earth, so that's contributing.
No.
But it's not a major part of the
It's
story.
just the flu.
Likewise, our population
That's what Jimmy Dore
is aging.
says.
So as your people get older, a larger percentage reach the end of their lives. That's understandable, too. And many of you know about the devastation caused by the opioid overdose crisis it has contributed to. Pandemic, aging, opioid. All important, but none of them the dominant cause. Here comes the dominant...
Yeah, it's such a good point. I wonder how many people fentanyl has killed in the last 5 years. Shit is deadly.
Cause of the decline. It's the fertility rate, the birth rate in the United States. That's what's come down. I'll give you just one statistic. Population experts believe that we have to have 2.1 births per woman in our culture to stay even in our population.
2.1?
Not grow, not shrink, but to stay even.
How does that work?
In 2007, we had 2.12, just enough to keep growing in terms of our birth rate, our intrinsic ability to grow our population. In 2020, we had dropped from 2.12 to 1.64. That, historically, is the killer here, the thing that drops our population. So I want to talk about what it means and why it happened. First, why it happened. The story has to start with the decision of American capitalist businesses, starting particularly around the 1970s, to move out of the country in a big way, to drop their factories, their offices, their stores in this country, and move to where economic growth was faster and wages and other costs were lower. That was a 1-2 punch most capitalists could not resist, because profits looked better over there, to say it simply. And they closed down their facilities. Whole towns shut down when they were dependent on one factory or one office or one big store, and now it was gone.
Yeah, maybe
All
you've driven through
Americans know
one.
this story because it has happened literally in every part of the country. Visit your nearest dead mall and you'll get a sense. Just like if you look at the inside labels on your clothes and your appliances, it's all made someplace else.
Yep, and that was a conscious decision.
When that happened, it dealt a real blow to our working class. They lost the jobs. And you know which jobs left first? The ones where the wages were highest here, because if you move them to China where the wages are very low, it would be the biggest add to your profit. You don't move the job of a worker who earns a little, because then you're not gaining that much by moving to China, which has its costs. So you move first the wages of the white American male worker, typically in a union, who's fought hard and had a good wage and benefit package.
Yeah, gotta get rid of
That's what
those.
the employer saves most on, so that's why the employer moves.
Oh, that makes a lot of
It's
sense,
crushing
Richard.
for the white male working class, perhaps more than for anyone else, this departure of the good jobs. So it should come really as no...
Ironically, that is the demographic most likely to vote for, whatever fascist wants to implement the quickest, most brutal version of globalization. God damn, what a psycho world we live in.
Great surprise. that that part of our population, a huge part of our population, men and women, start having fewer children.
That's right.
The jobs they can hold on to aren't very good. The factory job is gone, and being a greeter at Walmart will not pay
It's not paying the bills.
anything like it.
Nope.
So you can't have children. It's too expensive. It's too difficult. It's too uncertain. Now enter into this reaction of our working class, and particularly our white, but not only our white working class, in cutting back on having babies. By the way, cutting back on getting married and a lot of other things that go with that.
Yep.
But now ask yourself the following question. Did people understand what I've just said? That is, the link between the profit-driven moving of our jobs out of the country and replacing workers with machines, because that was going on too, all driven by profit maximization, and the declining birth rate? No. You know how we know it wasn't understood? Because the right-wing politics in our country got people to believe that their economic difficulty wasn't primarily the decisions of big business. Everyone knew a little of it, but no, we got really excited, especially if we were on the right wing, by scapegoating immigrants.
That's
and
right.
You have to
It's their fault.
appreciate the irony.
Yeah.
So we scapegoated the immigrants as if they were the cause of our economic difficulty. Those poor people coming from Central America.
No, it's the poor people.
What a crazy
It's the
idea.
powerless.
But it worked. It focused the anger away from the profit-driven
Someone help us
decisions of
from the
corporations
powerless.
to immigrants. And here comes the irony. So we turned on the immigrants. We closed our borders off. We sent them back. We hounded them with ICE, all of it. Obama did it. Trump did it. Biden is doing it. Not a partisan issue. Everybody got in on it. That's the right wing. And here's the irony. The single biggest headline of the last 6 weeks, you know what it's been in America? Labor shortage. Hello? We just kicked out the people who, if we had let them stay here, would have been the solution right off the bat to the labor shortage. We're complaining now about a labor shortage, not facing the fact, A, that we did that to ourselves as a nation, and B, that we did it out of a combination, if you like, an accommodation to the decision by private enterprises to make money somewhere else.
That's right.
What a story.
Motherfucker
What
nails
a
it.
story of our population.
Call this man
And
Jesus
here's the
Christ because he
irony.
nailed it.
You know what corporations are going to be doing as a result of the labor shortage? You know what that means? It's one more reason to move production away from this country where there's a labor shortage problem and go to another one where there isn't.
That's right.
This is right-wing policy agreed to by the Democrats that is foolish and self-destructive.
You tell them.
We are, as a nation, shooting ourselves in the foot.
That's right.
And whatever else you think about that activity doesn't make you look real smart. I want to turn next, in the time that we have left, to this crazy conversation about lockdowns, as if there's a way to react to the COVID crisis that's either lockdown, like in places like China and New Zealand and so on, versus liberty or something like freedom here. I want to correct this because it's a simple mistake. Lockdowns in China, I'll use that as an example, are government-run, highly focused, concentrated, coordinated, using private resources and public resources to really focus in on a city or a region. Everybody doesn't go to work. Everybody stays home. Food is brought in. Medicine is brought in. Hospitals are built, literally, to focus in. That's one way of doing lockdowns. But it's not that we in the United States or in Western Europe don't have lockdowns. We do. Only we allow them to be done ad hoc, privately. Everybody makes their own decision. Or to be more accurate, every employer does. So this government office shuts down, or that company shuts down. IKEA just announced it's not going to allow workers to come back who aren't vaccinated. We're shutting down. We're locking down. But we're doing it in a disorganized, uncoordinated way, public when they feel like it. This school, yeah, that school, not. That's chaotic. And we know it's chaotic, and we know it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Because, and I'll stop with this because I know it hurts. In the United States, we have had 57.5 million people to this point come down with this disease. In the People's Republic of China, a country 4 times larger, they have had a total of 133,000. We've had 825 or more thousand dead people. They have had 6,000 dead people.
Whoa.
There is no contest between an organized lockdown and a chaotic lockdown, and that's what the world is watching.
Wow.
We've come to the end of the first
amazing.
part of today's show. And as always, I want to thank all of you whose support makes this show and others we produce possible. To learn more about the different ways you can support and partner with Democracy at Work and with this program, please go to patreon.com/economic update or visit our website, democracyatwork.info. I also want to remind you of our recently released hardcover edition of Understanding Marxism. It's available now along with our other publications
I'm good, homie.
at democracyatwork.info/books. Please stay with us.
I think we've heard
right
enough from
back with
Marx,
today's
frankly.
Special guest, Fabian Scheidler.
Fabian Scheidler.
Welcome back, friends, to the second half of today's program, Economic Update. It is with genuine pleasure that I bring to our microphones and to our cameras Fabian Scheidler. He lives and works in Berlin. He is a writer for print media, television, and theater. His book, The End of the Mega Machine, A Brief History of a Failing Civilization, has been translated into several languages, including English, French, and Chinese. His latest book, The Stuff We Are Made Of, Rethinking Nature and Society, was published in Germany in 2021. So first of all, Fabian Scheidler, thank you very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, and you know, we always appreciate here in the United States people who speak our language, English, even though it's not their primary one, because we as Americans are very poor in doing the reverse. Any case, let me begin by focusing everyone on what I think is the key issue here. The book you wrote that I read and found remarkable and important was called The End of the Mega Machine, published in Germany, if I'm correct, in 2015, and then in English in 2020. And it is part of a literature that is growing and growing fast, that reflects the notion, widespread notion, that we are at a moment of basic historical crisis, basic historical change, one of those moments when it is both exciting and exhilarating to be alive and quite scary, because those two go together so often. So let me begin. You have your way of thinking about this and seeing it. You've published it in the book. Give our audience a sense of your basic reason for writing a book called The End of the Mega Machine.
Yes, well, Western civilization.
We're going to be turning it up for him, but I'll have to turn it down for Wolf.
Or whatever you would like to call it, or the mega machine, as I call it, has created a crisis on Earth which is without any precedent in human history. We have created already several means to destroy our species and life on Earth. One is nuclear war, of course. The other is the extinction of species. The industrial civilization has created the largest, biggest species extinction for the last 66 million years since the dinosaurs were wiped out. And this would even happen without climate change. And then we have climate change. We are very close to some significant tipping points in the Earth system, like melting of the Greenland ice.
So I would like to report that there was a major iceberg reported, that broke off and has, almost completed melting into the ocean. A very small amount compared to the total, amount of water in the ocean. But just further proof that this is happening. I think it was like 150 tons of water, something like that. So this is absolutely happening. And yeah, you fucking bet it's an existential crisis. So if you're one of these chucklehead time wasters out here, spending your time on Grand Theft Auto roleplay when we should be marching in the streets, I hope you're remembered for the fucking parasocial weirdo that you are. Okay? You got all that money, all that clout. The fucking world's on fire. And what the fuck are you doing about it?
And West Antarctica, the breakdown of the Amazon forest, the permafrost, and so on. And if we exceed these tipping points, we have irreversible processes which lead to what scientists call the hothouse Earth, which means that large parts of the Earth could become uninhabitable. So this is a very extraordinary situation, and we have to ask ourselves why. Why is this civilization, which is hailed as a bringer of enlightenment and progress and prosperity, why has it created this situation? And the answer I give is by telling a story, a history. When we do not understand the behavior of a person, we tell his story. It helps sometimes. And I tell the story of this civilization. And to sum it up very briefly, the civilization is based on several structures which drive this destructive process. It has also brought a lot of prosperity, but it drives also this destructive process. And the pillars on which this historical system, which emerged around 500 years ago, is based are first the endless accumulation of capital. That means to multiply money in an endless circle of profit and reinvestment.
We don't have endless resources.
This principle is enshrined in our most powerful economic institutions, like, for example, joint stock companies, which were created 400 years ago. And the 500 largest corporations today control about 2/3 of global trade and a large part of the global economy. Now, these structures, these corporations, they have to grow, they have to expand, they have to multiply the capital to accumulate, and that means they have to transform nature into commodities. And so this is, of course, a problem on a finite planet if you have a system that has to grow forever. Now, this economic system cannot stand for its own. It needs a second pillar, and that is the modern state, which emerged also around 500 years ago. The modern state was basically a military institution based on mercenaries and firearms, and the states didn't have the money to buy all these mercenaries and firearms, so they had to lend money from merchants and bankers in Amsterdam and London and so on, and they went to other countries to plunder these countries with their mercenaries and arms, and to pay, as we would say today, the return on investment to the bankers and merchants. So state and capital were very closely interlinked from the beginning, and today we see it in the fact, for example, that the 500 biggest corporations, many of them could not exist without huge state subsidies. The International Monetary Fund says that we are subsidizing the fossil fuel industries with $5.9 trillion each year. That means that the taxpayers are financing the destruction of the planet. And the same goes with the aviation industry, the car industry, pharmaceutical industry, and of course, Wall Street. All these banks could not exist without these huge bailouts and with the money from the central banks and so on. So state and capital are intertwined and have created this dynamic which cannot stop, in fact.
Fabian, that's quite a story that you tell, but it's wonderful. It opens up a whole host of questions. There is a growing movement, let's call it, of people who see what you've just explained, who feel it, who see it, maybe not all of it, but they appreciate the climate change dimension or the population dimension or the inequality dimension and so on. Do you see such movements as sufficient to deal with this problem?
Gee, I wonder.
Or not? I mean,
Are
how
they
do you
sufficient?
sense the strength of the opposition
Are they
to letting this
sufficient?
play
You
out?
tell me.
Well, we have opposition to the system
You tell me.
from the very beginning for the last 500 years. And we had the European and also American history is a history of revolutions, of course. The French Revolution changed a lot, but it did not really change the economic system. We had other revolutions, and it turned out to be very hard to change the really fundamentals. Of course, we had the socialist revolutions and many others, but the system is still in place globally. But you have to remember that each system, every social system has lives. It emerges, it develops, and then there are contradictions coming up, and at some point it will end. There is no eternal system. Even capitalism cannot be eternal. And there are many...
How about Marxism then, huh? Let's not bring that up. What do you mean? Come on, I mean, Marxism's got to be the eternal system, right?
Signs which could show that we are already in a transition phase. And of course, in a transition phase, the system becomes chaotic. And in a chaotic system, social movements can play a huge part because the system will flip to one side or another side.
You hear
and
that?
The transition from one social system to a different system is not an event. It's not one revolution, but it's a process. Sometimes it takes decades, sometimes centuries. And it's really a cascade of crises that we are already seeing: the financial crisis, the pandemic, ecological crisis. And in each and every crisis, there are bifurcations. The system becomes more unstable, and society can make choices to go rather to this side or to another side. And the choices we make will determine the options that we have in the next crisis. And so I think in the 2008 financial crisis, there was a lot of opposition. There was Occupy Wall Street, but it was crushed. In this pandemic, or again, the states used their money to bail out Wall Street, the aviation industry, and so on. But I think there's a growing sense
more
that
news
the
on that
system
later
will not continue forever. And there's growing resistance. Here in Germany, we had the largest demonstrations in our history since World War II against climate change. And this was before the pandemic. And I think the pandemic has held some of this growing resistance a little bit under the carpet, but it will come up again, I'm quite sure. And we see more and more instability. We don't know where the whole thing goes, but it is a time really where resistance and also imagination of different forms of economic organization is crucial.
Yes, I would only add to that here in the United States, I think one of the few things everybody agrees on is that the level of social divisions, the hostility, the breaking into communication blocked groups who can't talk to each other or listen to each other or trust each other, that the level of cohesion holding this society together is weaker than it has ever been. And
yeah, no doubt. Kyle Kulinski has a great video covering this amazing poll. Let's see if I have it queued up here. But he goes over this amazing poll about how nearly 80% say democracy is screwed and America can't come together. In my lifetime, I've never seen anything quite like this. There's some massive divisions happening right now in America. And, are they fixable? I say, hell yeah, they're absolutely fixable. But not without nonviolent direct political action, you jaw-jacking grifters. Okay? I'm going to keep punching up until I hit one of these sons of bitches right square in the nuts. Okay? And if you don't like it, too fucking bad. All right? Because guess what? Tens of thousands of people wasting their fucking time sitting on their ass listening to these grifters, giving them millions of fucking dollars. And why? Why? I ask you why? Why would you give money to either of these people instead of a progressive organization that's actually going out there and getting something done? Why? Why? Because they're your friend? Because they're your fucking friend? That shit out of my face. So you fucking right, I'm gonna keep punching up.
I recently noted, you may find it interesting too, in the Canadian newspaper, the Globe and Mail, which is one of the leading newspapers in Canada, in Toronto, carried an article by a leading researcher there named Homer Dixon. And that article was that the Canadians have to get ready because the society south of them, namely the United States, is disintegrating.
That's right.
And it is a threat to Canada's survival. This is an extraordinary thing to say, and even more interesting that a leading researcher at a major think tank is publishing this material in the leading newspaper of the country. It is more evidence of what you say. Can I ask you, I wish, of course, we had more time, but can I ask you, how would you position the relationship between the United States and China and all that is involved there? How does that figure in, if it does?
Interesting question.
China will certainly soon become the largest economy in GDP terms. And of course, this is very threatening to the US, which is the hegemonic force in the world still, in a way. But the US hegemony is certainly in decline. You see that with Afghanistan, with Iraq, and so on. Now, there's a lot of warmongering going on in Washington, of course. And this is because the establishment in the US of both parties, by the way, are fearing that China will become much more powerful than the US, and they're trying to stop it in every way. It's a very dangerous situation. Because when a hegemonic force is declining, it may try to preserve its power by military means. And when you look at the relations, you see that there are no Chinese battleships at the coast of California, but there are a lot of battleships, US-American battleships around China, and a lot of military bases. The US has half of the military budget of the world. The Chinese military.
Is that fucking true? Are there Chinese battleships outside the coast of California? Excuse me?
Budget is tiny compared to the US. And it's completely absurd that the US government is considering China a military threat. I think China is going to avoid war by any means, and they are very clever. For example, they are constructing the largest infrastructure project in the history of humankind, which is the new Silk Road, connecting China to Europe, to Southern Asia, to Africa, and so on. And this is not only because of commerce, it's also to avoid a military confrontation in the South China Sea, because the Chinese have an historical memory that the British and other European colonial forces destroyed China in the 19th century. They invaded China, and they started what the Chinese called the century of humiliation. The Chinese want to avoid this by any cost, so that's a chance for peace, I think.
Fabian, I wish we had more time, but I do really appreciate your sharing with us a perspective that rings true for millions of Americans. We have a slightly different perspective. We live in a different country. But I think we all share this sense that something momentous is going on.
It's happening.
And we need to talk about it. Yeah. Your book, again, that I would urge on people, The End of the Mega Machine.
End of that Mega Machine.
Fabian Scheidler. I hope we can do this again sometime in the future. And to my audience, thank you for participating. Think about what we have just heard.
Yeah.
And I look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Woo! Big Dick Richard Wolff. Thank you, Richard Wolff. True OG. You know, I'm not a communist, but look, here's the thing. We want to keep capitalism. We gotta regulate capitalism so it doesn't destroy itself. Okay? And you want some tips on how to rein in capitalism? Well, you talk to a capitalist. You talk to a communist. Okay? That's who you go to. You don't go to fucking Bloomberg and ask them how to fix capitalism. Oh yeah, the way to fix capitalism is to let the rich people do whatever the hell they want. Yeah, and everything will be great. Thanks, Mr. Bloomberg. Here we go, man. I mean, they're you know, Powell here at the Fed not going to raise rates. Not going to raise interest rates. We're just going to keep printing money at fucking 0.025 interest rate. And we're just going to keep inflating that currency. Just keep going. Money machine go burr, right? That's the meme. Federal Reserve is expected to signal at its meeting this week that it is ready to raise interest rates as soon as March. Whoa, they keep threatening. And that it will consider other policy tightening, reversing the easy policies it put in place to fight the pandemic. Yeah, believe it when I see it. The Fed begins its two-day meeting Tuesday, and on Wednesday afternoon, the central bank is expected to issue a new statement that shows it is resolved to fight inflation. Against the backdrop of a violent stock market correction, Fed officials are expected to say that they are ready to push up the Fed funds rate from 0 as soon as March. Well, giving those bankers plenty of time. We don't expect them to sound dovish, says Mark Cabana, head of U.S. short rate strategy at Bank of America. The bond market seems to be reacting to the drop in equities, plus the geopolitical tensions. So maybe the Fed sounds not as hawkish as they otherwise would have. But we don't think the Fed is going to come out and tell the market it's wrong for pricing in 4 rate hikes this year. I'm sorry. I worked an 8-hour day, okay? I don't get to sit on my ass and collect donations like these fuckheads. I actually got to earn a living. Oh, no, let's play StarCraft and World of Warcraft all day. While we collect literally thousands of dollars from our sycophantic fans that we've fucking socio-engineered to give us more money. Guys, I'm your buddy. Make sure you donate. We're part of a family. Don't you want to join my family and be my friend? Better donate. Nothing manipulative about that, guys. No, just telling little children that you know you're their buddy, and they should give you their parents' money. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, huh? Because no grown-ass man with his head on straight is giving these fucking grifters a fucking penny. And if you are a grown-ass man giving these sons of bitches money, reconsider your fucking actions, grown-ass man. You fucking right I'm punching up. The Fed found itself in a major battle with inflation in decades after 2 years of super easy policies implemented to counter the economic and financial impact of the pandemic. All these companies making money hand over fist. Medical companies, Amazon, fucking computer video card companies, everything. Everyone's making a shitload of money. Gee. Food prices going up through the roof. Housing going up through the roof. Gas through the fucking roof. Oh yeah, people are making a lot of money. You're not. And there's a fucking reason for that. The Consumer Price Index in December rose 7%, the highest since 1982. Cabana said the Fed could indicate that its first rate hike since 2008 could be as soon as the next meeting, which would be March. It made a similar comment in 2015, in the statement a month ahead of its first rate hike following the financial crisis. The stock market sell-off, if anything, has made the Fed's job more difficult. The S&P 500 dipped into correction territory Monday, down 10% from its record close, before a giant intraday market reversal. With the pandemic continuing and Russia threatening military action against Ukraine, the Fed will have to acknowledge these risks. Oh yeah. Because that's what they do. Because that's what the fucking Fed does, acknowledges realities. What they will have to do is say we will respond as conditions warrant. Yeah, they'll be Vegas shit. We have inflation to deal with, and even with that, we're seeing financial conditions are too loose. That's the only message they can give us at this time, said Diane Swank, chief economist at Grant Thornton. Sorry, I'm holding back yawns because I'm fucking exhausted from working all day. Started my day off with a 7 o'clock fucking meeting. Fuck! Powell briefed the media as usual after the Fed releases its 2 p.m. Eastern Time statement on Wednesday. Powell's tone is also expected to sound hawkish. Hawkish? Isn't that a warmonger term? Why are we using like war terms to describe, Fed policy? Anyway, I think he's going to say every meeting is live and we're going to use every tool to address inflation. Yeah, except for the raising interest rates, which is still a problem even when the S&P down 10%. It's still up 15% from last year, said Cabana. I don't think they're going to be spooked by this. They need to tighten financial conditions so that they can have a better handle on inflation. I just don't think the Fed is going to be surprised by this, nor do I think they're going to feel the economy is going to fall off a cliff. Other policy tightening. Fed officials have also been discussing paring back the nearly $9 trillion balance sheet, which more than doubled during the pandemic. At their December meeting, central bank officials discussed the balance sheet, and some strategists expected the wind down to begin in June or even as early as May. Not soon enough. The central bank's asset purchase program, scheduled to end in March, has been the primary contributor to the size of the balance sheet. The Fed has been buying $120 billion of Treasury and mortgage securities a month, but has been tapering back. $120 billion a month? Boy, it's given me a lot of confidence in this market. Once it ends that program, Fed officials are expected to begin to examine how they will shrink the balance sheet. The Fed currently replaces securities that are maturing with market purchases. It could change that operation and make other moves, like altering the duration of securities it holds. The fact they're talking about reducing the balance sheet at the same time they're still adding to it is a bit inconsistent, said Swank. What fucking name is that, dude? Swank. For that reason, she expects there could be some dissent at this week's meeting, and at least one Fed member, like St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, could push for ending the purchases immediately. Swank said that there is also debate within the Fed about how aggressive they should get with the rate hikes. Some market pros have speculated the Fed could move quickly out of the gate with a 0.5 percentage point rate hike in March. Though the consensus is for a 0.25 point hike. Oh my God, these pussies. Oh, just a 0.25 point, please. Make sure you bail us out next time again, too. By moving on the balance sheet at the same time it is raising rates, the Fed would be quickening the pace of tightening. Swank said every $500 billion on the balance sheet is worth 25 basis points of tightening. 1 basis point is equal to 0.01%. They talk about taking it down by $100 billion a month. They could easily go faster, she said. Oh, but then what would Daddy Bezos do? Oh, Jamie Dimon. Someone save Jamie. All right, we're almost done here. Market reaction. Cabana said he expects 70 to 80% of the sell-off in stocks is due to the Fed's move towards tighter policy. He said he has been speaking with investors whose biggest surprise is that the Fed is discussing shrinking the balance sheet. It was telling to me, quote, it was telling to me, this is a market that was addicted to the Fed put and the belief that the Fed always has your back, unquote. He said, quote, the notion the Fed could damage the market was unfathomable, unquote. $700 billion last year. He will earn $1.4 trillion. Who's he? Welcome back, by the way, Monsieur Bally's true OG. OGs always come back because they want real information, so they go to the underground instead of going to these fucking jaw-jacking, time-wasting motherfucking grifters, parasocial cultivating grifters. All right? Only OGs come to the underground because they want real information. Barry Knapp, head of research at Ironsides Macroeconomics, said the stock market's decline was not a surprise and that the 11% drop in the S&P 500 as of Monday was consistent with the average decline after other Fed tightening moves. Starting with the wind down of the first quantitative easing program after the financial crisis, he said there were 8 instances between 2010 and 2018, all averaging an 11% decline. We ought to stabilize in here. I don't think there's much Jerome Powell can say here that's going to make things worse. Starting balance sheet reduction is under consideration. All the real doves said that we've got to get started. Inflation is now a problem, he said. The market is going to stabilize because the growth outlook is not deteriorating. That's for sure. Bezos and one of the other jerk-off Davos men. They're making money hand over fist over this shit. Health insurance companies, logistics companies, you know, like Amazon, making insane money. Semiconductor, you know, companies, insane money. Oil companies, outrageous money. Obscene amounts of it. Knapp said one of the more worrisome components of inflation is rent and housing costs. No shit, which are expected to rise. He said if the Fed moved to eliminate mortgage-backed securities from its balance sheet, that would help slow inflation in general. What? The Fed is buying fucking mortgage-backed securities? Oh, honey. Oh, honey. If they want to tighten financial conditions, they want to slow inflation. The number one contributor to inflation in 2022 is going to be housing-related inflation, he said. Goods prices will come down, supply chains will clear, but that increase in housing prices and rental prices, that just is going to keep going up. It's already above 4%. The Fed's primary channel for slowing inflation in this case is via the housing market. Double it up every year, sucking the economy, and yeah, society dry. Absolutely. The fucking parasites. You know, and people have the audacity to call Jeff Bezos a fucking genius. The only thing he's a genius at is treating American workers like third world fucking slaves. Congratulations, Jeff. You got everyone timing their piss breaks to your fucking schedule. Oh yeah, you're a real genius. Why don't you just stay up in space next time you go, you son of a bitch? Straight up, fuck Jeff Bezos. Fuck Elon Musk. Fuck Jamie Dimon. Fuck Jerome Powell. Fuck Nancy Pelosi. Trading stock. Oh yeah, it's your right to trade stock, Nancy Pelosi. How come you're beating every hedge fund in America, Nancy? Are you just that fucking good? Are you just that fucking good? Martha Stewart over here pissed, dude. How long did Martha Stewart spend in jail? Over insider trading. Nancy Pelosi gets to talk about, oh, it's my right. Why are you beating every hedge fund, Nancy? You want the best fucking stock trade advice? Follow Nancy Pelosi's trades. You're allowed to because there's a Transparency Act. You can follow every trade she's made. She's killing it. She's killing it. Literally doing better numbers than every single hedge fund in America, whose job it is to predict where the market's going. That's a coincidence. Stock market outlook, S&P 500 could fall another 10%, Morgan Stanley says. Oh no. 10%. Oh! Sink them. Destroy them. Disassemble them and redistribute their wealth. Yeah, in the back streets of ancient Rome. That's for goddamn sure. She certainly wouldn't do it herself, though. I just thought this was interesting. See this guy's reaction. Ah! Bloomberg says yesterday was margin calls and that the S&P and NASDAQ could see a 30% correction. Upwards or downwards? I think he's saying downwards. Do we have a link to this? Bloomberg also said yesterday's sell-off was retail. I don't know what any of this shit means. This is all Wall Street bets shit. AFAIK, the general consensus is 0 to 10% is a correction. Above that is a crash. How big a fall are these guys expecting that 30% would become just a correction? Edit. And listening to the video, what he said was, I think we'll see 15 to 20% correction, never mentioned 30. So is this just, oh, this is a video. I thought this was a fucking meme. Holy shit. All right, let's watch this. Well, markets go up, they win. With a government bailout, they go up, it's a win. Yeah. But they'll still manage to blow it up with greed. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? Wouldn't you play a game where you get to keep all the winnings, and anytime you lose, someone just bails you out? Wouldn't you just keep playing that game? Oh, it doesn't matter. I just keep putting quarters into this game, and fucking as soon as I lose, some dickhead over here gives me a shitload of money to keep playing. Yeah, pretty fucking awesome game, if you ask me. Pretty fucking awesome. How do I get in on that? Oh, you can't. Oh, yes, you can. The market's free for everybody. Oh, really? Is that why wealth is fucking concentrated to, you know, there's like 100 companies that have 2/3 of the entire wealth of the country? Because I can participate in this fucking fun game too, huh? Is the government going to bail me out? I don't fucking think so. I didn't get no check in 2008. Did Bush might have given me $100. That might have happened. All right, let's listen to this fucking Bloomberg video. Sure to be enlightening. Motherfuck Bloomberg, by the way.
That there was a lot of leverage in the marketplace going into this year, and leverage helps on the way up. But as the market rolls over, we see some unwinding of that leverage, and I think that's what we saw. I mean, we saw each of the last 3 days of last week, the market closed on its lows of the day, and I think we saw some of that, those margin calls and things like that kind of caused the forced selling. Yesterday we saw it again, and I think once that finally kind of got washed out and people were done with that, there was nobody left to sell, and that's why we got this major snapback rally.
Well,
the concern though is that.
Matt, are people done with that in general? Was that capitulation? Have we seen it?
That's the big question, Matt, because and I don't think it is. We had huge, massive levels of margin debt going into this year. It has certainly come down some, but it takes time for that to get unwound. We've seen that in 2018. We had record levels of margin debt. It took several months for that to get worked off. It doesn't just happen overnight. And so I do think that yesterday's bounce will be one that will probably. The futures are down today, but they're down about half as much as they were. An hour or so ago. So I think that bounce should last a little while, but I do think we'll see, more volatility and probably lower lows. So I think we've gone from a situation that on a near-term basis that people need to sell the bounces rather than buy the dips.
I hate to ask you.
Sell the bounces rather than buy the dips. These guys often give advice that they don't follow. Just saying.
Kind of the horse race question, but it begs to be asked, how much lower could we go? I mean, before that margin is...
As low as the hookers you hire, homie. Look at this guy. Looks like a fucking bargain basement Lex Luthor.
Is all unwound. Where do we end up?
Yeah, I think when this whole thing kind of came around, especially around November and December, when the Fed really started signaling they were going to be much more aggressive with their tightening, I really thought we'd see a deep correction in the S&P 500 take us down 15 to 20%, and I still think that's probably going to be the case. Which, of course, take the Nasdaq down even further.
That's a good tip, Monsieur. Take that to Wall Street Bets, man. You get them up votes. Yeah, you got to buy, sell, then buy. It's like the Konami code: buy, sell. Left, right, select, BA, start. Money.
For investors right now, though, is so important is that, maybe, raise a little bit of cash, not a lot. You don't have to raise, 25% cash, but you raise a little bit of cash on the bounces. And therefore, my point is embrace this situation.
Embrace the chaos.
They're healthy, they're scary, but they're also normal and, like I said, healthy.
Wait a minute. I thought a healthy market is one that just keeps growing and growing indefinitely until everyone is super fucking rich from trickle down.
And if you're the ones who can embrace it, you'll be the one who's keeping your head while others are losing theirs at the bottom. And you'll be selling right at the bottom with the absolute worst time. You'll be the one who has the confidence to buy.
Wow, this guy's super smart, dudes. Wow. So wait a minute. You should sell when market good, but buy when market bad? And just keep doing that? Just ride the chaos, huh? Man, I can see why this guy makes a lot of money. The chief market strategist. Shit. He's a chief.
Matt, in the context of that, if we're right-sizing monetary policy right now, if that is what the Fed is trying to do...
Okay, that's the end of that. Yeah, guys, it's just so simple. Please don't leave the market. Please don't sell everything and not come back. Healthy for speculation, i.e. volatile, and bad for real business trying to do real things. Yeah, exactly. How are you supposed to fucking set, valuations with this thing just go woo, 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 woo. Yeah, well, hedge funds making money hand over fist. Nancy Pelosi making money hand over fist. Meanwhile, I can't buy a fucking video card for more than $3,000. I got to mortgage my fucking house just to get a 3090. Shit, I looked up price. I saw this amazing article today. Oh, GPU prices plummeting. GPU prices plummeting. Look at this. 1080 Ti. Oh, okay. 1080 Ti, right? Let's just go to eBay, used, get a 1080 Ti. I mean, this thing, 1080 Ti's, I mean, these have been on the market for what? Fucking, what? 5-6 years now? I mean, we're up to the 30 series. This is the 10 series. So surely these are going to be cheap as shit. Let's go ahead and have a look here. $947, $876, $1,641, dog. Plummeting. Got to be George Soros to keep up with your heating and fuel costs. No. Just, hey, look, man, you should be happy that you can, you're living free. Okay, I can't believe you're so ungrateful. All right, final video today. Yeah, we're kind of flying through this shit, but hey, I'm exhausted. But Crystal Ball over here, man, I gotta say, can I show you something real quick? What the fuck is going on with breaking points? Can we talk about this just real quick? Just 5 seconds of this. Look at this. Okay, that's fair. Whatever. Yep. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Let's just go to the video section here. Joe Rogan is right. The Rock will win. Huh? I've seen some other shit too. Crenshaw on stock trades. They don't pay us enough to live. Crenshaw? The Metal Gear Solid cosplaying fascist? We're giving him a honorable thumbnail? Mark Cuban in 2024 savior? Question mark? What? All right, look, to be fair, I haven't seen these, okay? Maybe they're being incredibly critical. But, dude, Sagar's influence is all over this shit, dude. Sagar is literally the only conservative I have even a modicum of respect for. Joe Rogan is right. The Rock would win. Because that's what the fuck we need. More celebrities running for office. More up their own ass millionaire celebrities. Yeah, that's what we need, guys. The Rock would win. The Rock would get his ass kicked. These people aren't political. They're fucking celebrities. Oh, yeah, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, have you heard Matthew McConaughey's political insights? They're trash. They're trash. Centrist gobbledygook from the fucking other universe. Yeah, I'm a very comfortable person. I live a life of luxury. That's why I relate with the common man. And I'm going to be a populist, except I'm not. I'm basically just going to repeat neoliberal dogma. Anyway, I just wanted to criticize Breaking Points a little bit for that. Mark Cuban 2024. Holy shit.
All right, Crystal, what are you taking a look at?
Well, we all know what it's like to see a housing bubble burst, the decades of pain and dislocation that destroy economic lives as well as human lives. If you're my age, you know what it was like to see a .com bubble burst. What would it be like to live through multiple massive bubbles bursting all at once? Well, we might be facing down exactly that type of horrific economic cataclysm right now. According to one analyst who predicted the past two crashes to a T. Before we get to that, however, here's...
I will watch those videos and I will correct myself if they are extremely critical of this idea and they're actually mocking it. Right? Just wanted to point that out.
the latest. Markets are on track to post their worst month since the bottom fell out during the pandemic back in March of 2020. Yesterday was a total roller coaster. The Dow dropped 1,000 points before somehow mounting a comeback at the end of the trading day to close in positive territory. But most analysts are predicting that this sell-off is going to continue. Why is this happening now? Well, as we've been warning here, the Fed is pulling the plug on the stock market party. Jerome Powell's Fed has signaled that they plan on hiking interest rates and trying to climb down from the...
Hiking interest rates? More like inching interest rates, dude. Okay, anyway.
Massive spending binge that propped up both the debt and equity markets.
Yeah.
We'll have more to say Wednesday after they meet, but with inflation continuing to mount, I would not expect them to change course. Markets are adjusting to the potential end of the free money era and the potential end of the policies that provided a multi-trillion-dollar safety net for the richest among us. That all means there will be pain. It's just a question of how much, how widespread. Because while the gains were concentrated in the hands of a few, the losses could well devastate millions. And one guy who was right about both the dot-com bubble and then right again about the housing bubble is now saying, we ain't seen nothing yet. Jeremy Grantham, British investor who has a near impeccable record where such things are concerned, is sounding the alarms. He believes the U.S. right now is facing down not one, not two, but 3.5 super bubbles, all set to burst with potentially catastrophic consequences.
What?
In a post titled, Let the Wild Rumpus Begin, Grantham lays out his case that we are currently in super bubble territory in housing, in stocks, in commodities, and a half bubble in bonds.
And this doesn't really shock me. I mean, this will be shocking, but it's just like everything is overvalued. Fucking everything. Fucking video games, dude. I can't buy a PlayStation 1 game from the fucking 90s without fucking taking out a fucking second mortgage because I bought a video card. They'll be crying into their champagne bubbles. Oh, they'll be just fine. They get a bailout. They get a bailout. We get dookie pies.
Effectively, when the Fed was handing out free cash, there was a rush for the rich to put it somewhere, anywhere really. This led to record-breaking stock gains, massive spikes in asset prices, and everything from art to wine to yachts to fancy trees to NFTs to fake real estate in the metaverse. Closer to home, well, it led to huge spikes in home prices, with investors rushing in to buy...
How come no one has talked about Second Life? They're talking about the metaverse like this is a new idea. You've been able to buy houses in Second Life and sell houses and make real human money in Second Life since its inception. And fucking Facebook comes along like this is a revolution. I could buy my genitals in Second Life. I've done that for 10 years. I haven't, but you can. You can buy big old boobs and a nice set of dicks, you know? I'm talking multiple dicks, man. You don't need just one. It's a capitalist fucking paradise in Second Life. It's the metaverse. Facebook should have just bought Second Life, man. There you go. It's ready to go. Your entire metaverse. Boom, bada boom. It's got VR support and everything. Oh, no. Okay, anyway.
By single-family homes and pricing...
Whoa, breaking points. Can we focus your camera?
...ordinary home buyers out of the market altogether. Crypto has been another major beneficiary of this exuberance. The huge spike in cryptocurrency value coincided with the Fed's extraordinary moves to prop up the market during COVID. And now that the Fed has signaled their intent to change course, crypto was among the first assets to see a huge drop.
Good.
Bitcoin jumped up 305% back in 2020 under the easy money regime, but over the past few months, it is down by about half. Overall, in just one day, the cryptocurrency market lost $130 billion of its value. According to Grantham,
it's not value though. It's just the amount that someone else is willing to pay for it. Bitcoin literally does fucking nothing.
The signs of these super bubbles right now are everywhere. Housing costs are at the highest multiple of family income in history, meaning that homes are less affordable than they have ever been before,
yeah, tell me about it.
Including before the great housing bubble crash. The stock market soared during the pandemic, even as millions filed for unemployment and pulled the family minivan into a modern-day breadline, fueling a belief that nothing could ever cause the market to fall. And commodities like oil, metals, and food are broadly overpriced, leading to inflation and stressing real incomes right as the bottom could be set to fall out. Take a look at this. Grantham also argues that we've already run through the traditional life cycles of the super bubble. He writes that in past super bubbles, shortly before they burst, they actually go through a period of acceleration, which we saw mostly in 2020 and early in 2021,
times never end, man.
when the Nasdaq skyrocketed 105% from its COVID low. Next, the most speculative assets, things like crypto, begin to fall even as more traditional blue chip stocks continue to perform well. The final phase he describes is the psychological dynamic that I mentioned before. It's sort of quasi-religious belief that the market.
I mean, that's I see what you're saying, right? Because they dropped support for Bitcoin in their country, and there was speculation that they were going to release their own, China coin to the Bitcoin market, but that hasn't happened. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. In terms of China's behind Bitcoin, I don't know. I don't know, man. I would need to see a lot more documentation on that before I believe that. But I'm not going to say it's whatever. We're all just pissing in the dark here. Like I understand what the fuck any of this actually means, right? All I understand is that real people are getting fucked, and people like Jamie Dimon and Jeff Bezos are blasting their rich asses up into space. Okay, not for a scientific fucking mission, all right? So they can take a dump in space. Whoop-de-doo!
It can only possibly go up. By the way, that was kind of true so long as the Fed was pumping trillions into the markets. But now, that music has stopped. Looking at history, previous super bubbles have all ended, of course, with economic devastation for the masses. These bubbles caused the Great Depression. They caused the massive Japanese crash that led to the lost decades, the dot-com crash, and the Great Recession after the housing bubble crash. If Grantham is correct, we are in an even worse position than any of those scenarios because we're dealing with super bubbles in almost everything. Of course, there are massive, unpredictable political consequences to this possible calamity as well. Think about how the housing crash led to Occupy, led to the Burning campaign, and on the other hand, led to Trump and a nation that at times has been a literal tinderbox. Some of those outcomes I consider to be actually good, but under no circumstances should you cheer for this kind of chaos. Does the state of the country today seem good to you? This is why the accelerationist argument fails. You are much more likely to get a worse Trump and a more dangerous insurrection attempt than you are to get a better Bernie actually able to win and rebalance the scales.
That's right.
As Grantham writes, looking back in a decade or two, if bad things have happened to our democracy, the huge surge in income and wealth inequality of the last 50 years as CEO income moved from about 25 times the average workers to about 250 times will have carried the largest share of the blame. Just think about all the horrors that we track here today. The core rot, deaths of despair, fears of a civil war, and increasing comfort with political violence. So much of the acute pain and misery in the nation right now goes right back to the financial crash. What would another even worse crash look like, piled on top of all of that compounding instability? It is not a thing that I wish to find out.
No.
To be sure, while Grantham's got a good track record, he could certainly be wrong this time. The Fed could lose its nerve and go back to inflating the asset bubbles instead of pricking them. It's kind of
which they probably will the moment any fucking, real shit starts going down. They'll be like, oh, we got to save the market. We got to save the market. And, this is what my fear is that eventually we're going to come to a point where the Fed just can't save us by just literally flooding the market with trillions of dollars that they freshly print. Right? With that moment when they flood the market with quantitative easing and it keeps going down, that could be it. That could be it right there. Great Depression, more like Grand Depression. I need to coin that term, man. That's a good one.
Of a dubious thing to wish for, by the way. Maybe the market moves through this correction without major calamity and we continue muddling through. I sincerely hope that this man, as prophetic as he has been at times in the past, is dead wrong this time around. I literally can't imagine what might become of the nation if he is, in fact, correct. Hey guys, thanks so much for...
Damn, son. So basically this is the production. This is the prediction. Right here. This is the prediction.
Smile Direct.
It's Smile Direct, guys. This is the prediction. It's Smile Direct. Here we go. We're getting our prediction from our market analyst here. Let's getting him connected. Second here. Okay, hold on. We're getting connected on the old Skype here. Hold on. Oh, okay. Thank you. One more time. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Kind of breaking up.
Hold on to your butt.
Oh, okay. He said, hold on to your butts, everyone. Thank you so much. Morgan Freeman? No, I'm just kidding. That's Samuel L. Jackson. Was he called Morgan Freeman one time in a movie interview and he got all pissed? It's like, yeah, we all look the same to you. Whoops. All right, so there you go. The Grand Depression. I'm coining the term. I'm going to tweet it. I'm coining the term. Multiple asset bubbles bursting at the same time. Quantitative easing potentially not being able to save us for this time. Pretty good time for Russia to roll into the Ukraine, wouldn't you say? I don't know. I'd like to give today's Garbage Fuel Award on over to Monsieur Bally's. Thank you, Monsieur Bally's. Keeping it real. Garbage Fuel, the #1 drink mix company in the world, made from 100% garbage juice. 100% organic, we think. Thank you so much, Monsieur Bally's, for supporting the News Underground. Greatly appreciate it. Real quick, I've created a gaming casual channel, and if you want to see me play video games or not talk about politics, I don't know why you would want to. I'm customizing it and doing all that right now, but if you want to help me support, get a few follows on that, I would appreciate it. Check it out. Abandoned Nihilism Casual. Yeah, I've been wanting to play more video games, because I play video games when I'm not streaming and I'm not doing other things, to relax. And, I was just thinking to myself, gosh, there's this whole aspect of my life that I'm not attempting to monetize. What a fool am I, right? So there you go. If you want to help a brother out, check out Abandoned Nihilism Casual. What could I tell you about, protecting yourself from this upcoming market disaster? Hold on to your butts. Grab your butts. Grab other people's butts. I don't know. I'm gone, dude. I moved the fuck out of United States, and I'm getting punished for it. You know how expensive a house is in Vancouver? You think that shit's expensive in San Francisco? Try buying a San Francisco house with Canadian money. That's like 75% the worth of a dollar, each Canadian dollar. Good times. Good times. They got a system over here in Vancouver where you have to put twice as much down that you would have to in America, because, in America, they'll give anyone a fucking loan. So houses are averaging well over $1 million. We might be able to get a $950,000 loan mortgage, maybe. Don't forget to join that Mayday strike. I'll be joining that. I'm actually trying to set up an IRL stream where I will be protesting 24 hours. Trying to get that set up. It's expensive. I got to buy a hotspot. Got to buy a camera. Got to buy a fucking data plan. Gonna make some signs. I encourage you to join it. I encourage you to not be like those fucking chuckleheads in your little Brady Bunch panels debating each other on how eagerly you can jerk each other off. They spend all this time talking to each other and chitty-chatting with each other. Nobody planning a march. Nobody talking about where they're going to be. Hey, I'm bringing my audience. Come on, audience. You're a big fan of me, Dylan Burns. Meet me at the Capitol. I'm going to be there next week. Boy, if there was a right-winger that wanted to debate you, you'd get on a plane. You don't want to get on a plane for a march on D.C., Dylan? Huh? Too good for that? Oh, you got excuses. Oh, it doesn't work, huh? Tell me, what progressive change have we had in this country that wasn't the result of direct nonviolent political action? Huh? The Civil War? That was violent. Women's suffrage. Okay? The end of Jim Crow. The 8-hour work week. I could go on. Tell me. What progressive movement that sits on its ass jerks each other off in Brady Bunch panels all day, has gotten a fucking thing done. Huh? We're not even pressuring AOC. Oh, AOC, forget her, cancel her. Really? We got like 5 or 6 actual pretend progressives in and we're just gonna forget them. So we're just slate clean. We got nothing then, huh? Is that what we're fighting for? Oh, we're not fighting. We're patting each other on the back. Time wasters, jawjackers, grifters. Sick of it. I'm gonna keep punching up till I hit someone in the fucking nuts. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm shaming you. You need to do something with your money and time and clout and audience. Okay, except for collecting bushels of money because they like you, because they're your parasocial buddy. Join the family, you say. Anyway, big props to Monsieur Bally's. Thank you so much for stopping in. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. You know you'll be seeing me tomorrow. I don't quit. I don't stop. I got the strength of a warrior. Goddamn right. Don't you tell me that's cringe. Fuck you. Cringe on this, bitch. Cringe all night. I drink your fucking cringe tears. Fuck you.